If you want to know probably the greatest secrets of the universe, listen carefully. Because it took me over a decade to realize this. Actually, it's not really a secret. It's written everywhere. But as they say, only when the student is ready does the teacher appear. So this shouldn't be anything new to you. It's probably something you already know. But there is a very thin line between knowing and living as if you know. And this is where most people get stuck. Look at how many people know what they should do. They know how things work. They know what would be good for them, and still they don't live by their own knowledge. Most people know they should do something about their weight, but they still don't do the things they know are best for them. Are you following me? Most people know they should stop doing this or that, but somehow they keep doing exactly what they know they shouldn't. So knowledge itself is not power. Not really. Knowledge only has the seed of power. And a seed needs the right soil, and it needs time, and it needs nurturing. So what is this so-called greatest secret of life that I have learned over a decade of really practicing? Many scriptures talk about this, many books, many teachers, many gurus. But let me give you some background first, so you don't just understand this with your head, but something starts to move inside you. I'm going to say a few phrases now. They are all true, and they all mean the same thing. And after that, I will give you some guidance on how to nurture this knowledge so it actually starts to grow. Let's start with the easiest one, the most modern way of saying it. If you want to change the world, you already know the rest, right? Exactly. If you want to change the world, you need to change who? Yourself. The second one is a bit more vague, but it points to the same thing. Every change happens in you. The third one is probably the most famous. It comes from Jesus. The kingdom of heaven is within. Buddha said the same thing, just in different words. Taoism points to it. Sufi wisdom points to it. Different cultures, different languages, same direction. The last one I want to read comes from Hermetics, written by the so-called three initiates. They don't really explain who they are. Maybe they aren't persons. Maybe it means something else. But one of the Hermetic laws goes like this. And by the way, this was written a long time ago. So this can't be the first time you hear it. As within, so without. I actually have that book somewhere here. And when you really realize that the world you are living in, everything you see, hear, smell, taste and feel is a mirror. This is a small book. A lot of wisdom here, if you get it. Of course, this is a newer version of that. But still, when I said a mirror, I meant a reflection you project from within. Then something changes. Then you realize you can change the movie you are playing. Basically, everything you experience is created by you, through you, and within you. Even science says this now. What you see is not actually outside of you. The image is created inside the brain. So if the experience is created inside, wouldn't it be strange to try to fix everything only on the outside? Let me give you an example. Two people can be in the same room, experiencing the exact same situation, and still walk away with completely different meanings. Even watching this video, everyone hears what they are ready to hear. And this is why it's written in the Kybalion. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. Science also shows us this now. The brain works like a receiver and like a broadcaster at the same time. Or it goes both ways. Like an antenna, it doesn't receive everything. It only receives what it is tuned to. I remember when I was training to become a spiritual coach in 1 year program back in Finland. A close friend of mine, my teacher and mentor, who had taught over 10,000 people, mostly in mental work. He is one of the smartest people I know. I remember we were a small group, less than 20 people. Very special people. And by the way, this also connects to another hermetic law. All is mental. One day we were learning telepathy, real practice, not in theory, learning how to tune the mind, how to receive, how to broadcast. I was sitting next to a good friend of mine, very wise, very humble. We sat in pairs, facing each other. We had agreed on symbols and colors. Something like triangle is green, square is red, circle is yellow, and so on. One person was the broadcaster, the other was the receiver. The broadcaster focused deeply on the symbol and color and sent the image mentally, and the receiver tuned in and said whatever came to mind. So, as my friend was broadcasting and I was receiving, and I got every single one right. Every single one. Even he started to freak out. He called the teacher and said, "Come and see this. I can't believe it, but Tony can tell everything, I think." And I could. I actually could. No hesitation. No guessing. The odds were insane. Years later, he still talks about that moment. Now, telepathy is used in many places. Let's just say well-known places and institutes. This is not a miracle. Almost anyone can do this with proper training. And honestly, it happens accidentally all the time, especially between people who are close. Like me and my wife. We don't even need to talk much. We just know. The funniest thing started happening when I was reading books. When I read, I'm in very meditative state. And when my wife does her makeup, she listens to prayers or affirmations most of the time. So she is also very meditative place. It's like we are tuned in the same frequency. And so many times, too many times to call it coincidence. I would just read something and she would walk in and say the exact words I had just read, word for word. There was no way she could know. I started joking that it wasn't fair. I do all the reading and learning, and she gets all the benefits. Nowadays I see her thoughts very clearly when we are tuned in. She doesn't even have to say anything. I have also started seeing glimpses of the future sometimes. Not something I can control yet. They just come and go. But let's come back to the main point. You might think these abilities are impressive. They are not. They are child's play. The real secret is still the same. As within, so without. And there is a beautiful example of this in the movie Matrix. In the first movie, the main character, Neo, goes to see the Oracle. Before that, he enters a room where children are playing with different abilities. One child is holding a spoon. He stares at it. The spoon bends and straightens again. Neo asks, "How do you do that?" The child answers, "You cannot bend the spoon. There is no spoon. What you have to bend is yourself." That's the message. Whatever is happening outside of you is your own making. If you want something to change, a situation, a person, a pattern, you have to change yourself. It's never really your spouse or your friend or your family or your children or the stranger yelling on the street. It is you. And I know this is a lot. It took me over a decade to accept this. When you stop doubting your own power, you can bend reality. And by doubting, I mean this question: how am I responsible for wars, for violence, for sickness, for accidents, for poverty? Again, bending reality doesn't mean nothing bad ever happens. Good and bad are concepts of the mind. When you remove them, you start seeing the truth. There is no spoon means seeing beyond appearances, lifting the way. The kingdom of heaven is already within you. waiting for you to step in. Like Buddha, born into luxury, a palace, protected from suffering, until he saw sickness, old age, poverty, death. These are the four teachings that he learned. And he left to seek truth. He became enlightened when he stopped running and sat down. Same with Jesus. They faced their demons alone. Their thoughts, their beliefs, their rules. The cruelty of the world is born in the mind, not outside. And when you see the truth, the lies can always bend, just like the spoon that never existed. And now comes the fun part. So, how can we practically use this knowledge? Because everything we talked about so far can sound abstract, poetic, even mystical. And at some point, the mind wants to know, okay, but what do I actually do with this? So let's make it practical. The first step is to accept this truth. Everything that happens because I am creating it. Everything you experience is because you have created it to be experienced. Now I know this is not easy to understand intellectually, because practically you would say there is no way I am creating the sickness of some random child. There is no way I made someone beg on the street for food. There is no way I created a car accident. And then the mind goes even further. How did I make the rain? The sunshine, the planets, the universe, there is no possible way. I have nothing to do with these things, right? And this is exactly why I don't want you to believe this yet. Instead, I want to give you a mental model, because I haven't found any better way yet to teach this. So let me ask you a question. Is your life exciting and interesting? I mean, really. If I were to watch your everyday life like a reality TV show, and you were the main character, would I be interested to watch it? Or would I change the program? And if you would change your own life program, tell me why. Why would you do that? Are you feeling pathetic, miserable, tired? Maybe tired of suffering, maybe tired of constantly surviving, stressing out, tired of feeling sick all the time. Not so fun to watch. Or maybe you are not even suffering anymore. Maybe you are just bored. Okay, now let me ask you this. Do you entertain yourself with outside world catastrophes? Do you watch the news, horror movies, action movies? You should really take an honest look at your own life and answer these questions. Now comes the next realization. Everything that happens to you is happening for you. You have heard this before, right? Everything that happens to you is actually happening for you and by you as well. But have you realized this? Everything that happens in your life, whatever you are going through, is happening for you. For you to realize that you are the creator of your own life. For you to realize that you are the director and everything that is happening is just a reflection of your inner state. This reflection exists so that you could enjoy the movie you are producing from within. But of course, if you are not enjoying it, maybe you should switch the genre, switch the movie you are playing. And now think about this. If your whole life is a movie and you knew exactly how it was going to play out, you would be bored most of the time. Like you are playing a chess game and you just know how things are going to go every time. You get bored. So what makes a good movie is not what happens in the movie, but how the character acts, how the main character handles different situations. When we watch movies, we immediately see who is the main character, who is the villain, and who is the sidekick, right? You can almost right away tell. It's how they act, not always how they look. Although looks also play a role. Now, ask yourself, how would you describe yourself in your own movie? What character you are? How do you handle the situations you face every day? Are you a victim? Or are you someone who refuses to tolerate situations that feel unfair? Whatever life throws at you, how you handle it shows your character. And because this is real life, your movie exists to wake you up to what you truly want, if you are not already awake. So that you start acting as you want. You can be the hero, you can be the sidekick, you can be the villain as well if you want. It is your choice. Let me repeat this. It is your choice. Your inner state sets the stage. Look at real human examples. Nelson Mandela, decades in prison, became a world leader. Depends on what side Mandela effect you live in. Viktor Frankl, in a concentration camp, later said it was one of the most meaningful experiences of his life. Read his story and see how he acted even in desperation. What about Helen Keller, blind and deaf also, yet became a writer and changed millions of lives? And then there is Kevin Trudell. Depending on who you ask, you will hear very different stories. What matters here is he was not convicted of a violent crime. He was sentenced for criminal contempt, basically violating court orders. But let's not go there. 10 years he was sentenced. One of the longest criminal contempt sentences in history. According to Kevin himself and many who followed his work, the reason he became a target was not because he harmed people, but because he challenged powerful systems. His work focused on health, self-education, and personal freedom, like I am doing. And whether you agree with him or not, it is not the point. Everything external was taken from him. Money, companies, status, employees, freedom, and according to his own account, prison became the first time in his life without distractions. For the first time he could read, study, meditate, practice yoga, write. Of course he has done this before in the Brotherhood, but he has said he wrote thousands of pages on personal mastery during that time he was in prison. And here is the key. He did not come out bitter. He did not come out broken. Same cage, different inner world. One man collapses, another turns the cage into a monastery. Then there is this guy Charlie Rocket, also known as Coconut Chuck. He was massively overweight, over 300 pounds, living fast, burning out. Then he was diagnosed with a brain tumor as well. That could have been the end. Instead, it became the beginning. He transformed his entire identity from someone who could barely move to an endurance athlete, running ultramarathons, doing extreme physical challenges. Nike featured him as a symbol of transformation. So you never know, or actually you do, when you decide to know. And what's remarkable is this: he blesses his former weight, he blesses the tumor, because without that suffering he would never have become who he is. Now tell me, what is your excuse not to act like the hero in your movie? Yes, maybe these people are rare, maybe they are 1%, but are you really going to use that as an excuse to stay small? And it doesn't matter how long you have played a role or how old are you. Here comes a golden nugget. There is no such thing as time. And even if there were, there is no better time than right now. People succeed after 50, after 60, after 70. Time is a story. So here is the mental model. You are 100% responsible for your life's happenings, and you are 100% responsible for how you act. Even when outside situations demand anger, misery, or suffering, you can take that energy and turn it into a fuel. See yourself as an actor. Ask, how would the best version of this character act right now? Because your response changes the meaning of the situation. Someone can be in prison and study, train, meditate, and come out stronger than ever before. Someone else goes through the same and becomes a lifelong victim. This is the first practical step. Then comes the second one. And the second step is maybe even more important. This second step is the experience of this phrase. Or actually, it's not a phrase at all. It is a law. As within, so without. This second step is simpler as well. And right now starts your exploration of what happens when you begin to always act positively in every given situation. Because if you truly understand that you create your world to respond according to how you are, and what you are is your choice, then everything changes. If you respond positively in every situation, even the bad ones, your world slowly loses its grip on you, and reality starts to bend in your favor. I am the way, which means that the energy you represent becomes the way of life. Outside does not make who you are. You make how the outside is. In life, everything is constantly moving and changing. There is no other time like this time. No other Monday. Even if you mentally try to force that it is Monday again. Oh, it's Monday again. Because this day, whatever its name, I don't know what the day is when you watch this, but whatever the name is, the only day is happening right now. And you will never experience the same day again. The illusion that life repeats and nothing changes must be broken by you. Even if you watch this video again, it's not the same. Nothing ever repeats. Life is a spiral, not a circle. Even if realities intersect, the exact moment is never the same again. So every moment is a chance to become someone new, and then see how the world changes, because you changed first. And here is the good news. You don't have to wait for anything. You don't have to wait for the right time. You don't have to wait for outside situations or conditions. The only time is now. That's why it's called the present, because it is a gift. It truly is a gift, and it's up to you to use it. Don't search for your gift. You are the gift itself, and the gift is now. There is a way of looking at life. When you become relaxed, everything around you relaxes. When you become joyful, people enjoy your company. When you act lovingly, you are loved. Just like misery seeks misery, happiness seeks happiness. That's why the Bible and many spiritual traditions talks about forgiveness. Because what you resist, you actually strengthen. When you start seeing things positively, more positivity appears. Only pessimists never get disappointed. Because disappointment is already their home. That's the part what is missing in that saying. When you learn to see the positive side of situations that once triggered you, you create a different life. And when you live in wonder, wondrous things happen. So only 2 steps today for you to take. First, take 100% ownership. Play with the thought. I created this. Do not ask why, just play with it. And the second, take ownership of your life energy. Force yourself to have fun. Take it seriously. What business are you in? You are in the happiness business. And yes, I take my enjoyment very seriously. Now, I hope you enjoyed this. Go and have fun. Just have fun. And if you are still struggling, doubting, or juggling life, download my free 6-part belief kit. Break your blocks. Get what you intend. Because intention is the highest steering wheel in your life. Ask and you shall be given. Maybe I answer. Maybe life answers. But at least you moved. At least you asked. That is enough. Stay healthy, stay wealthy.